Good morning. It's Lorraine from Wireman's Whimsy. This morning we're doing something a little bit different. Usually I do card videos, but I also sew and make quilts. So this morning I thought I would just start instead of plan, and do a quilt video. What I'm working on right now is called a One Block Wonder, and I'm using the book by Maxine Rosenthal, and I'm using fabric from Phillip Jacobs for Rowan. This is the original fabric. You can see the overall pattern, and this is the first 5 rows of the One Block Wonder. So I am working on building the top. I've chosen to do the octagon version, which means that you need to make the blocks into squares. So what I have over here on my sewing table is row 6, and I've numbered the blocks. I'm working here on 6-1, and this is row 6 block 2, row 6 block 3, etc. And they're all labeled like that. And when you make octagons, you need to do something called the stunning squares or amazing squares in the middle. And what it is when you put the pieces together, I'll show you on the larger quilt. When you put the pieces together, you end up with a square here. But when you lay it out, these triangles need to be on 4 separate squares. So hence the reasons for labeling the blocks 4-1, 4-2, 5-1, 5-2, so that when you put it together, that block is correct. You can see there's another block right here. So when you're building this, you have your octagon shape, and you have your half square triangles that you need to sew into the corners. So that's what I'm going to do this morning. I'm going to build one of these blocks. I'll press it, and then I will square it up. So bear with me while I reset the video here. So I've set these up so they're lined up and they're square. I'm going to sew them with a 1/4 inch seam. I'm using a light pink thread. I thought light pink would blend better overall rather than just using white. So I'm just lining up where the intersection of the points are and just stitching and using a 1/4 inch seam. So then I'll take it out of the machine. I will trim it. And trim my excess threads. Take the rest of my pins out, except I'm going to leave the number here. And what you'll see too is that the number is in the top of all of the pieces. That's my alignment. That means that this goes up. When I first did these, the first row I did, I had to take out because when I was squaring up the blocks, I ignored that. I ignored the numbers. I took the piece of paper off so that I could square them up and then just pinned it back on anywhere, forgetting that I needed that number for alignment. So it's recommended in the book to press your seams open so there's less bulk. And there is, it absolutely does work to reduce the bulk. So I'm just going to press this open, and then I'll square it up, and you'll be able to see the finished block. Sometimes the work in between sewing takes longer, but it is really important to do these steps so that you get a really nice finished quilt when you're done. So that one didn't press down very well. So that is the block sewn together, and I just need to square it up. I'm going to press it one more time from the top just to make sure everything lays completely flat. And the nice thing about using the flower head pins is that you can use your cutting mat or your rulers right over top. You'll notice that these ones have the ball head pins, and that's because there was 90 blocks and I ran out of pins. So the block needs to be 6.5 when it's finished. So 3 1/4 is my center point. So I try and line that 3 1/4 point up in the middle of the quilt or block, making sure that I am lined up well so that I can cut and not cut one side too short than the other. And this block is actually quite oversized. So when I was doing my octagons, I wasn't as careful as I needed to be stitching them together, and it makes a huge difference when you are finishing your blocks to sew into the quilt. There's not a whole lot of my lines that actually line up where they're supposed to. A lot of my centering blocks are not as pretty as I would like them to be. So, but it's all good in the end. And you just keep squaring up so that it's the easiest possible to sew that block into your quilt. So that is the finished block, and then I will sew 6-2 and 6-3, and we'll catch up on the finished product later on. Thanks so much for watching my first sewing video. They will get better, and I hope you stay tuned. Thanks so much.